Hello everybody, it's Rick. It is January the 16th, 2018. My email is rick, R-I-C-K, 0327 at me.com. Only email me if you would like to make a donation to receive numerous affidavits. Okay? And if one or two do not open, let me know. You're not being ripped off because I provide you numerous dismissals, a few dismissal affidavits, a few, notice to vacate, numerous writ of mandamuses, numerous writ of habeas corpus. I give you the child support agency affidavits, because when you receive in the mail from the child support agency, they don't tell you these things, but you have a specific amount of time to rebut, or you're consenting by acquiescence, by silence. Okay, so I have the affidavits for that with instructions. All right, I have driver suspension affidavits with the Department of Justice dear colleague letter stating that, basically what the Department of Justice said is that they're not allowed to suspend your driver's license without a hearing. Okay, and here's another thing: your driver's license cannot be suspended for a debt. The only time your driver's license can be suspended is for a public safety reason. Okay, because the Supreme Court held that driving privileges in modern times, which is the last 70, 80 years, is it's a privilege protected by the Constitution. Remember I discussed with you the writ of habeas corpus is not just for physical custody, restraint of liberty, also a restraint on your liberty, which is to be allowed to participate in everyday things that can affect the way you live. Okay, you're allowed to raise your children in a manner, as long as it's not going to cause them physical harm. You're allowed to drive. All right, you need a driver's license to work. Everybody understands that. Okay, the only reason why they do that is because they're trying to extort you. All right. So what else? You're getting a lot of stuff. All right, so don't be like this asshole the other day who focused on 3 or 4 things. Okay, he was a real asshole, and please don't be that idiot. All right, I had a guy busting my balls last night, because he's meeting with some guy. I think the guy was drunk or on drugs or something, this guy last night, and I think it was a full moon. But a real fucking moron. And guys, I'm not looking to be an advocate. Okay, all right, I've been doing this for a little while now. I don't give you guys all of my history, but trust me, I've reached out to politicians in the past. All right, and I found it to be a complete waste of time. Okay, I've contacted the media, a complete waste of time. I've done everything. Because I get emails from people from time. Rick, why do that? Do that. That's okay, I get it. But don't jump down my throat and send me 10 or 15 emails calling me an idiot, I'm a phony, we look to you for hope, all this bullshit. I told the guy, he wanted to introduce me to a guy that's supposedly running for president in 2020. All right? And I'm like, listen, I don't trust politicians. what are you calling me a like, first of all, how did I call him a politician? I mean, it really was an email from the fucking Twilight Zone, really. Excuse me for cursing. And he made the Rick idiot list. All right? The Rick idiot list is when you piss me off, all right? And I take, every time you send me an email, it automatically gets marked as read and then thrown in the trash, so I don't even see it. And then, you know, every few days when I empty my trash on my phone or on my computer for emails, your emails are gone. All right? All because I told this guy last night that no, I don't trust politicians. He went crazy on me. All right, I told you guys I deal with a lot of questionably mentally handicapped people. You know, chemically unbalanced. And again, I'm gonna tell you, anytime I tell you I was a cop, it's only to bring context. I'm not bragging, okay? And I'm not bragging. I'm bringing context to what I'm saying, okay? I tell you because I had a background in the law, and I was an active police officer for a while. I had a very good, I'm a very highly trained police officer. Let's put it that way, okay? I have a lot of additional training past the average police officer training. So I went to the equivalent to, I went to SWAT school for 4.5 months in 2002 after 9/11. Right, I went for training to become a police instructor, to teach classes. I used to teach in the police academy. I had a very good career. All right, I'm trained to be one of those guys that go through your door, you know, an entry guy, rappelling from buildings. I did all of that stuff. Okay, and before I did that stuff, I was an active, you know, as a rookie police officer for my first 4 years on the job. You know, I was an active police officer. I was involved in probably 300 arrests, you know, 100 by myself, and then, you know, working with other guys for my first 4 years while working in Midtown Manhattan in the, you know, early to, you know, late 90s, right, mid 90s. All right, so I say that to you to bring context. I'm not bragging again. And again, I started this channel to help people, and by breaking down the law and giving you, you know, various lawful remedies, and then I made up the paperwork myself, and from last year to this year, I've evolved greatly, okay, and that happens from the reaction we get from the courts, from the lawyers. I've had a few successes, okay. You know, somebody just wrote in the comment section yesterday they got a dismissal last week. It might have been like a contempt of court, but any victory is a victory, okay? Any victory. And then we're having a good response with people filing the paperwork before going to court, because these fraud child support courts, they're not used to people submitting paperwork before going to court. Same thing with traffic court, like the guy Mark Stevens, all right, the No State Project. He has a lot of success with filing paperwork for traffic court, and it's not even court. They call it traffic court, just like child support court. It's really not a court, all right? It's an administrative process. That's all it is. It's color of law. I told you guys the other day, it's a bill of attainder violation. All right, a bill of attainder is a law that targets a particular group or an individual, and in our case, under the child support laws established under 42 U.S.C. 654 subsection 3, all state child support laws are established under that federal law, okay, and it's voluntary, and it's done to recoup welfare expenditures. But what it does is it targets non-custodial fathers, and if you read it, you have to pay child support. There's no maybes, or maybe he or she is already providing. All right. I mean, I didn't get into the a few weeks ago there was a big case, Rochester man, I think in Minnesota. Again, another case in Minnesota. It was a long battle where it was, supporting your child is just not monetarily. Remember I told you, what if you work out a deal with the mother where, what if she's a nurse, right? And she works the midnight shift. What if your children are sleeping by you take them to school in the morning, right? Is that not support? Yeah, it's support. Doesn't have to be monetarily. Okay? And I think that was part of his argument, like he was supporting his children in a different kind of way. It's not just about this. It's only about this with the child support agency, because why? Because they get 66% or more for every dollar they collect from you by forcing you, by punishing you. All right, that's another aspect of the Bill of Attainder clause. There's a law that targets an individual or a group, and in this case, it's a non-custodial parent, as Armin Osiris says, or an obligor, right? A paternal parent, or and again, in these laws, you're automatically guilty. You automatically have to pay support by income withholding. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then if you don't, you're in contempt of court. And then if you don't, you could be have your driver's privileges suspended. Okay? These are all punishments. And then to make it, there's the third prong. Remember, with the injury in fact, there's 3 prongs. Right? There has to be an actual injury in fact. It has to be proven that you caused it. And number 3, that the court is likely going to be successful in prosecuting the case. Okay? Well, here, right, it targeting a group, right? A punishment. And number 3, here's the biggie, without a judicial trial. Right? So, right there we have them. And Bill of Attainder is clause 3 of Section 9, Article 1. Article 1, Section 9, I think clause 2 is writ of habeas corpus. Clause 3 is Bill of Attainder. Now, that's a constitutional right. All right? Now, if we're going to argue this and present facts and evidence to the court to support this argument for a constitutional right, and they deny it, they're denying you or depriving you a constitutional right. We're talking about a serious thing. Okay? That's why, I've been going in this direction with the writ of habeas corpus, and I would love to take credit for it, but I have no problem, But I learned it from that FathersUnite.org channel, right? That channel is the one that's the web page said that the writ of habeas corpus is the way to go. And there's even case laws, Harris versus Nelson, I think it's 1965, okay, of the Supreme Court, that says a writ of habeas corpus, the function of it is to fight unconstitutional acts in state courts, to basically avoid the procedural mazes that presents us, right? Is that not an issue for us? How many of you guys are dealing with that, trying to file the paperwork with the clerks, right? And you know, that's an arbitrary laws that deprive you of your rights. That is not. What also the point you were making was, in spite of court, in spite of like lawmakers and courts who would have you believe otherwise. Kind of, I think it's what the wording was. And forgive me, please. I don't need any of the Johnny obvious guys in the comment section. Okay, remember, I'm doing this on the fly in the car, but trust me, I'm in the right ballpark. I'm not leading you in the wrong direction. What they were saying was, despite what lawyers and courts may have you believe, that a writ of habeas corpus, and right, we're dealing with this. A lot of you guys know this that are trying to file paperwork. They would have you believe, and state statutes would have you believe, that a writ of habeas corpus is only for people in physical custody. BS, right? It's for restraint of a liberty, and it's not just physical custody in a jail. It's, right? How many of you guys right now are in a prison, the child support prison? Here, your wallet, your bank account, your driver's license, are your liberties. Right? Remember, let me teach you something in grammar real fast. It's is when you're talking about a singular. It's are when you're talking about a plural. All right? So, are your liberties restrained, or is your liberty restrained? Okay, you got it? All right. Should have thrown it in there. Sorry. But, so, are you being confined or restrained by a void judgment that only a handful of agencies and institutions are enforcing? Banking institution, Department of Motor Vehicle, Child Support Agency, your employer, right? Under the guise of child support. But remember, Blessing versus Freestone, it's Title 4D, child support enforcement benefits who? The state. Fraud. So you got the banks being told, your employer being told, Department of Motor Vehicles being told, and believe it or not, a lot of these employees in the child support agency, they're just doing what they're told to do. They're not checking this stuff. Now listen, I'm not giving them I'm not saying that we're dealing with good people. Listen, I don't believe there are any good people working in child support. Okay? I couldn't see myself doing that for a living. Listen, I worked in a job where every day I could affect somebody's life. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of people who are in my position that abuse their position. I wasn't one of them. Okay, I did a lot of good. I'll give you a quick story. So in the 90s, I used to work at the Port Authority bus terminal in Midtown Manhattan. All right, it's the biggest bus terminal in the world, and it's known. It was known as a den of criminality, prostitution, drug use, alcoholism. Okay, It was the biggest biggest place for homelessness, and I worked there. So we had to deal with the buses. I used to breathe in bus fumes all day. Anyway, we had a guy, a cop, and he was writing summonses to the bus drivers. All right, and that's a no-no, because bus drivers are working guys. They drive for a living. We get along with them. When I say we, I'm talking about me and the fellow guys that I work with. We had like 250 cops work there. Anyway, there's one guy, Billy. He wasn't a bad guy, but he was a kiss ass. So the manager of the building was getting a lot of complaints about the smoke in the bus terminal. And that was because buses, if they're not picking up people, they got to keep going around in circles. It's a lot of traffic in Midtown Manhattan, 42nd Street, 8th Avenue, 9th and 10th Avenue. Those of you that's not from New York, trust me, it's a very busy area. So buses, what they would do is they would park. If they would park and idle the bus, letting all the fumes go. And I'm telling you, if you were walking down the main concourse, it would be a haze of bus fumes. Anyway, I had a family come up to me. The father got ripped off. It was his wife and 3 children. He had no money. And he was trying to get back upstate New York. This is like 1995. I didn't have the money to put him on the bus. Okay? But what I did was I went to the manager of the bus company. First thing I did was I apologized, because I said, listen, I understand there's one of the guys harassing your drivers by writing them tickets. I apologize. It had nothing to do with me and the other guys. But please, can you get this family on the bus, please, to get them home? And would you know, he got them on the bus. Then I gave the father a $20 bill, which back then was, it was like almost $50 now, believe it or not. This is about 24 years ago. And that's my story of helping people. That's just one of, many things that I did. All right. But that's my story. Like, not all cops are douchebags, and I wasn't one of them. I think a lot of you realize me doing these videos, I like to help people. Okay? I just don't. I told you, I'm not an advocate. So please don't find stuff for me to do. All right? Hard enough just trying to help you guys. But anyway, getting back to the law. All right? The law is a fixed thing. All right? And if we use the Constitution and we use the Supreme Court decisions, we have facts before the court. All right? Facts and evidence is what matters in court. All right? Not capital letters, not your name in capital letters and all that stuff. All right? Facts and evidence. That's all that matters. All right? All right, so listen, I'm almost home right now. I hope in this nearly 24-minute video, I've helped some people. Please, no idiot emails, please. I don't want to add anybody to the idiot list. All right? I know, some people may think I'm harsh on people. Listen, you have no idea the emails that I deal with, okay? One day, I don't know if I should start, compiling these idiot emails. I don't want to, but last night that was crazy. I mean, this guy sent me about 15 fucking emails just because I told him no, because I didn't want to participate and I don't trust politicians. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later.